kumanga kapena kumasula chipani aneke akutionera pano.
Yes.
Amene anali kuchipinda chomata ndachakwera.
Yes.
Chawabaya MCP nthiti.
Yes.
Mchiyani tayankhulani.
Abana ndi leadership.
Yang'anani pa TV.
Ndikuyang'ana.
Aneka akukuona fana ngasi ine ndikunena kuti ineyo I choose to differ. MCP doesn't need a consultant. Chimene chawabaya akuchidziwa.
Yes.
Koma ineyo tauzani kuti musaononge ndalama. Chakubayani ndichi tayankhulani muyankhule ndinuyo.
Inde ndikuyankhulani.
Yankhulani.
Vuto la MCP ndi leadership.
Leadership
yo kuyambira pala chakwerapo amene amathandizira chakwera ivi ndafuna ndakuzani kuti simungamakambirane za vuto loso lili pomwe.
Sona.
Singatheke. You cannot be discussing the problem while the problem is there. You will not, because how do people try to be diplomatic? So they have a leadership problem. Kuyambira president ndi anthu amene amamuthandiza president. Most of my members, they are a problem.
Most of the MCP members, they are a problem.
Ngati MCP ufunika kuti pange bounce back when I get clean. Look, utakhala kuti ndio munthu wabwino kwambiri. You understand, Brian? Kaya tingwesezera to maswera mpira. Umamwesa kwambiri mpira. Wayana keeps on saying kuti sumamutenga mine ujai kuti atapanga operation munthu uyu. Izosiyana you don't just take anybody kupanga operation chief. Simaina kuti azivesesa kuti tikacheka munthu simaina bwanji. So, Achakwera is a good person, chief. He's a very good person. In a room that is usiku, I'll tell you this is a good guy. But is he a good leader? Politically, I have my own reservations on that one.
Okay.
He's a good person, chief. Good is not good enough when better is an option. When you're looking for something better, then good is not good enough. You must find something that is better. Now, tukunena kuti tufuna kukonza dziko.
Yeah.
We have a good person who cannot perform somewhere. Then good is not good. You need to find somebody that is better to do what you want to do. Ujeni alemba kambapo za decision making. Ine ndikonjezerapo speed. Because kupanga chiganizo ndi nkhani ina. Kupanga zinthu mwamsanga ndi zina. Even kupanga zolakwikazo, koma kuzipanga mwamsangaso. Ndizosiyana. So decision making on obvious things, mina so even kwapasa evidence yokuti izi zila purpose for him to make a decision. That's not his strength.
Aongezanike na nanena sabata imeneyi kuti kuyamikira Mutharika kuti he may not agree ndi zonse zimene Mutharika akupanga, koma for the first time tili ndi munthu amene akupanga decision.
Well,
yes,
you know, I'll put my own also opinion on that. Yeah. But if you allow me, kuti ni malizi mwamsanga pa. So,
no, majeta ndemangani yo kunena kuti kumpatsa nsokolere kuti here are the facts.
Yes.
Bwana, palivuto apapata konzani.
Yes.
Ndemasizi mateka.
Yes. Kupanga chiganizo here kungosirira basi kuti like I'll come back to it. Ndikumasabwerera ai. That issue is still outstanding. Chief, you must make a decision, wrong or right, but at least make a decision. Uma ina upanga chiganizo, yes, utapanga chiganizo cholakwika, kapena kuzapanga chiganizo chabwino, koma at least people will not fault you kuti sudapanga chiganizo cho. Udapanga chiganizo chifukwa ntchito imene iyi sungakhale mu office memu jamu nkumanena kuti touch no evil, see no evil, hear no evil. No, gonna be a time whereby you have to make a decision and stand by it.
Okay.
Ndikunena kuti ine akulu tikupita akulu mele zafikira baba mafuta si kuyenda iyo mapanga subsidize mafuta si kukwira akulu I am going ndikweza mafuta hey bwana anthu adala nani kuti yes komano eventually people realize kuti this is the right thing to do. You cannot just hold a decision because you think kuti decision yako when is hurting so many people.
Yes,
and the consequences of eating azaphulika siku linake, the damage that it will cause is going to be colossal, like it's the case now. Most of the things panopa zina zinthu zatukumira nonge zinaphulika pa 16 September pacha. Look where they are now.
Pali vuto za kukhosi chifanda mfatu kunali tukuyankhula ati anthu anayankhula na zinthu zambiri koma pamene ndingaone ngati kuti MCP they need to be careful is asafananize zimene zidachitika ndi DPP ndikupanga copy and paste ndiwo chifukwa kuona ngati kuti chifukwa chonena kuti DPP atachoka Mutharika anthu ankafuna kuti achoke na nati ya akhalibe president wa chipani pamene timazapangaso chisankho 2025 Malawi they went back kwa Mutharika ndi DPP aliponso ena MCP amene akuona ngati kuti it's the same thing 2030 amalawi azapanga chimozimozi kungotenga enawo nkungoyika. Now ndimafuna ndinene kuti masamu otero they can be dangerous. Chifukwa pali zinthu zina zimene anthu amadandaula achakwera zimene is to do with the character of a person.
Like what? 3 things. Give me 3 things. Yes. Give me 3 things. Number one.
Poyamba program munakamba nkhani ya decision making.
Okay.
Now munthu uyo 2030 azakatuwa sintha kapena ndimene alili.
Okay.
You have to consider factors like that. Now, ena can say, no, 2030, as a character simpa, ena they can argue like that. Kuma ena takusa, no. Zimezo ndimene alili chifa ankauzido kuma sama sinta, because that's who he is. So MCP has to be very careful.
So decision making, number one.
Yes.
Number two,
muchipani mucha. Anthu akala kudandaula kuti pale anthu ena mana azugulira president, nda amene amakolezera mavuto ausogolere mchipanicho. But those people taona kunena kuti mwina anthu they are too close to the president kuti mwina sana achose in the 5 years that he was in leadership. Is he going to remove them? We don't know. We don't know if he's going to remove them. Anthu ena nachito chulidwa maina kuneki amachita kwachula enawo maina awo sinifuna kuchulwa maina. Kuma people were mentioning names akuta. Kuma those people were very close to the president. Ndiye kuti anthu as long as they're going to be close to the president, ndiye kuti mavuto amene anthu akuona kuti analipo, they would continue to be there. Number 3,
yeah.
Panali nkhani ina yokhuzana nda president yonena kuti kuma ifimene tikuonera president athuwa tikuona kuti it's not just about chidodo kuma maybe alindi lack of understanding.
Okay.
Ya zinthu zina mwina za government imene zimayendera anthu ena matero.
Okay.
Yeah? Anthu ena matero. Now one can always say within 5 years munthu can be able to learn and become better. Kuma kwa anthu ena they think tikuona ngati munthu uyu mwina sanga tithandize. Ndimalize ni mawu amene a Sylvester Yuba James ananena pa sambalawo la mchezo. Iwo ni membala wa MCP komanso ndi lawyer. Ngakhale ku MCP ko amaona kuti uyu is more of owukira. Ananena mawu pa page yawo ananena kuti I want us to remember kuti 2019 anthu ankachosa kwambiri DPP. Not necessarily Muthalika. It was more of the DPP that people were tired of. Yeah? That is his thoughts. It's not mine. Nungochita quote. Ndamanena kuti ulendo uno anthu amaoneka ngati kuti they were not happy ndi achakwera. Not necessarily MCP as a party. That was his thought. Mawanga ngati chenjezo komanso langizo kwa MCP. Mutamva zonse zimene anthu akuyankhula. Mukhale pansi ndikuona kuti which is the truth. Fa zonsezi tokhala ma speculation. Anthu atakhala kungoyankhula. Koma takhani pansi ndikuunikira. Kodi vuto ndi chakwera kapena vuto inayichabe kunena kuti ndi chipani chonse kapena everything was wrong. Chifukwa mshuwa kuti zina mwina zinali zolondola. Ngati vuto nala chakwera, then to keep him as a presidential candidate 2030 mubesa.
Say that again.
Ngati vuto linali achakwera. Mukafufuza nkupeza ndi vuto ndachakwera.
Yeah.
Ndiye kuti be careful wachita field again mchipani chongati leader of the party. Koma ngati vuto.
Hello guys, welcome to Auntie Yami channel. How are you doing? I hope everything is fine, but I know everything cannot be fine, but today is another day. Let's continue to expose MCP. You know, I always go back and archive their trash. Oh my God. Did you know that time you wanted them, they promised you 204 promises in their manifesto, but in 5 years they achieved -7%. -7%. So some of you up to now, you are like, do you know what? 2030, I'm going to vote MCP back. 230 promises. We'll do this for you. Free schools, you name it. You know their promises. I cannot even talk about 230 promises. But let me tell you something. That time, they managed to do that just because of Saulos Chilima. Because most of the points on that manifesto, it was meant to be done, sorted by late Cyrus Chidima, the vice president. That's why the time they killed him, it did not work completely. And also, it's not even about just killing him. It's about not listening, because the governance of Chakwera failed you Malawians. He did not have good governance. He failed the country. He did not listen to anyone. And all his advisors who surrounded this man, they did not have a clue. What they were doing, they were using his lack of knowledge to steal from Malawians. What he was doing, oh yeah, that's fine. That's okay. He wasn't even investigating anything because he was part of that dirty game. He did not care, Malawians. Some of you have heard you say that, oh, do you know what? He was the best person, but only his followers. No, you are a liar. You are lying. Are you telling me that he did not, even his own wife, did not know that Malawians were suffering? As a leader, how silly how dumb can you be not even to listen, even just saying that things are not okay? But you chose to become deaf and blind. Leaders like that are a shame to Africa. Whether we like it or not, he is a failure. He will be remembered as a president who failed Malawians forever. 5 years cannot change his thinking because he's dumb. He did not care, Malawians. All those people surrounding him, if they are coming today, say that, do you know what? We have chosen our president to represent us until 2030. Do you know why they are doing that? Because they are all hiding. But it's not too late, because all of them, they are going to answer. One, how did Chirima plane crashed? That report is gonna be contested again, because Malawians need the truth. All those people who are being arrested, the machete boys, the machete gangs, they need to be questioned so that they can tell the truth who was behind all that. It's the same leaders who was sending those thugs. We call them thugs, Malawians. So today I'm going to reveal each and every one of you. You know why that government of MCP and Chirima and Chakwera failed. And today I'm going to remind you what promises they made and why did they fail. Because in this world you cannot continue to make people suffer. You cannot continue to end people's life. There is God out there, God of Malawi, God of Chirima, who is, as we are talking, he's watching the spirit of Chirima and said, do you know what, my son, don't worry, the truth will come out. Do you know why they did that? They did that because the time of Malawi Congress Party before the time of Dr. Banda, a lot of people, as I said in my previous video, died. All those people, Alon Gadama, Matenje, you name it. That accident were organized one. But no one to date was arrested. So with them, they followed the same route. They forgot that time there was no improvised technology. And this time, 21st century, is a different era. This is the time of computers. It's the time of updated technology. That's why we can sit here and shame them. That time, there was nothing like that. There was no freedom of speech. There was no democracy. But now we are in a democratic era. In era of democracy. Now, Malawians, we've got a right to challenge what belongs to us, because that was your taxpayers' money. Even all this money they are hiding is your taxpayers' money. What happened is people died, you suffered, Malawians, and now I'm going to remind you. I said to you, I'm here to expose. What about Bridget Foundation from Belgium? What really happened? That was another 419. Corruption. Shameful president going to sign a deal that was a scam in Belgium. What really happened? I'll explain to you after I finish with the 204 promises. That's 7%. This is the title today of MCP. False pledges. That's why the only thing they achieved is to keep high Saulos Chirima and the others. This is what they achieved. Because they thought they can do it without him. They can hide under machete people on the street. Send those thugs to deal with innocent Malawians in a democratic world. Shame on you, each and every member of MCP. Shameless people who doesn't have class. And today you are standing out there and like, oh, we are back on 2030. Do you think Malawians are a game of chess? Do you think Malawians are dolls to be playing them like that? You don't understand how Malawians are still suffering because of you. Let's read as we continue to subscribe, like, comment, and share. Thank you very much to all my subscribers, both returning and new subscribers. Thank you for your love. New subscribers, this is the channel. This is it. Your aunt is here to expose. I'm gonna archive, dig everything. The thing that we don't know, I'll bring it out. I haven't started yet to talk about the new government. Let us sweat. They've just taken over. But all that trash you are seeing is these vampires. I always call them vampires. If you are new here, Malawi Congress Party group, they are vampires. They suck your blood. Suck for 5 years. And you Malawians suffered. Some of you survived to date, but some, they couldn't survive. The spirit of those people will still haunt them. Let's see, guys. Where MCP government considered as a failure for 5 years. Economic performance and rising debt. Only -7% of the 204 promises were reported as fully fulfilled by the end of 2024. -7%. The country's domestic and external debt increased significantly rather than coming down. Inflation and cost of living rose sharply. Staple crop production was hit because input costs surged, e.g. fertilizer, hybrid seeds. I always remind you Malawians for you to know why it happened? Why did you suffer? Why are you still suffering? That's why I always remind you that DPP, they are just in. Now, they haven't even reached half to create that trash. I'm telling you this now. Food security suffered and many Malawians experience worsening living conditions. If I'm lying about this, comment there. If you are MCP, come and comment there that what you are saying, Auntie Yami, you are just a hater. I'm not here to back anyone, but I'm here to remind Malawian about the truth, because at the end of the day, they suffered. They suffered. People suffered. Corruption, governance, and accountability. Reports show an escalation in corruption complaints under the MCP government. Anti-corruption efforts are seen as ineffective. They did not respect that anti-corruption bill. That's why they did not care. They managed to recruit their own so that they can hide, sit on their trash. Critical public services have suffered inefficiencies, delayed delivery, and politicization. For example, delays in passport, immigration services. What I'm reading to you here is not from Malawi News or Malawi reporters. This is international news. I always check sources outside Malawi for you people to understand that even the world knew about MCP. That's why a lot of countries, they stopped aid for you Malawians to suffer. This is what you have to know, that if the leaders, our leaders, are full of corruption, they don't care, because they know that the consequence, the outcome is they are not going to be the one to suffer. It will be poor Malawians, poor Africans. Relief distribution and food aid have been were accused being politicized. The food, the aid they received, it was only their own people who were benefiting. Their own families, their own cousins, their own brothers and sisters, rather than you Malawians. And this is reality. Whether we like it or not, but this is reality. Because we have to expose where exposure is needed. Fulfillment of key promises. Despite a large number of promises, only a small percentage were fulfilled fully. Many remain only partially done or not started. The promise of job creation, they promise you job creation, which they say DPP failed. 1 million jobs first year. And ensuring cheap inputs for farmers did not materialize in expected measure. Policy missteps and poor service delivery. Decisions such as banning agriculture inputs from neighboring countries like Tanzania without clear planning caused food shortages and trade frictions. That issue, they stopped you from importing goods. That's why it caused a problem, because they say, oh, you know what, we don't want bananas from Tanzania. We don't want this. But they forgot that they did not have enough bananas to feed Malawians. They did not have enough produce to feed Malawians. Then you are sitting down there in your house, in your storeroom, in your kitchen. You don't have enough maize flour for simmer. Then you are telling your neighbors that, you know what, I don't want you to help me. I don't want to be buying food from you. I'll wait until I harvest. Are you okay? How long are you going? You've just planted. Then you are trying to grow your wings. This is what they were doing, growing wings. And tell others that, do you know what? We don't need your bananas, Tanzania. While Tanzania is like there looking at them that who is going to suffer. Care about Malawians. We always said they did not care about the welfare of Malawians. They wanted to finish Malawi. They did it 5 years. That's why they had to kill Chilima. Because Chilima had a vision. I'm telling you, Malawians, Chilima had a vision. First of all, what did they do? They started arresting him. Oh, you've done this, you was corrupt in this. That was the way of finishing him, to get rid of him. Then later, they noticed that this man is strong. This is a leader. Let's just finish him. Which up to now we need answers. The government's reliance on old models for input subsidies and its inability to scale them effectively have undermined agriculture products. Malawi is highly reliant on agriculture and external inputs. When subsidies, fertilizer or seed become unaffordable, food production drops and the prices rises. Up to now, we are just relying on agriculture, which needs to change. That's why the new president, President Mutharika, has put a stop on export of Malawian minerals. This is the other way of trying to identify other means of growing Malawian economy. We cannot depend on agriculture only. That's why there's always a limit of now anti-smoking organization. They don't want these people to be growing tobacco. Even that tobacco, there's nothing now because the prices by itself affects all those farmers. There's no profit. Now, why can't we start something? That's how it's all about Malawians. Observers, civil society monitors, and international agencies pointed to 4 interlinked drivers of public dissatisfaction with the Malawi Congress Party administration 2020 to 2025. Weak economic management, that I'm summarizing now, high inflation. This is what is all about from 2020 to 25. Shortages, rising debt, large-scale crop losses, and food insecurity, poor fulfillment and manifesto promises, and perceived increases in corruption. Politicized service delivery. With them, it was only political. Everything was political. Everything. That's why I call them political prostitutes, vampires. These problems have produced measurable suffering, millions food insecure, increases in malnutrition. You know malnutrition. Admissions, protest over cost of living. How will investors think about going and invest in that country? That's why you saw ShopRite closed and packed their boots. Failed IMF program because, everything, they failed about everything. Now, when a government has failed, what do? We don't need any IMF anymore. Because you don't need to tell us like that. Because if you are going to tell us to devalue again, it's not going to work. This. Anyway, I'm not a finance person. I'm just telling you. I'm not going to even sit much there. Now, let's expose alleged scandal involving MCP government and the Bridging Foundation. Do you know that they are still under investigation, under contested? On 28 November 2022, the MCP-led government of Lazarus Chakwera publicly signed a deal with a Belgian registered Bridging Foundation purporting to secure a US 6.8 billion grant for Malawi. You know what? There were promises they made. They thought is gonna work for them without Saulos Chilima. These are part of the deals. Because you know what? Sometimes when these parties are campaigning, there are some donors or organization. They are close to one of the members there might be. And if you get rid of that person, you cannot continue with that. They cannot continue working with you. Because what that person said to convince them, you don't have that expertise. This is how it works. The announced funds were said to be for large infrastructure projects, including a 1,000 MW power plant, US dollar 3.3 billion, a high-tech fertilizer plant, 750 million US dollars, a teaching hospital, US dollars 1 billion, twin government office towers, and others. There was already a budget for that money. That's why they were so confident the time they were promising you Malawians. The value, the grant, US dollar 6.8 billion, is exceptionally large for Malawi economy. The amount was said to be around twice Malawi's national budget at the time. You know, when you are hungry, when someone asks you, how much do you want? How much food do you want? Sometimes you just say $10. Why? You know what? Those $10 is even too much. You've got only might be 2 kids with you and your husband. Then rather than thinking about others, you are so greedy, want everything to be yours. That's why sometimes people, they cannot even manage to help people, because sometimes people, they become greedy. This was greedy Lazarus Chakwera and his government. Why the deal raises red flags? Everything they touched raised red flags. The Bridging Foundation had very limited transparent history. You see, even the Bridging Foundation wasn't a trusted organization. An obscure website, no clear track record or large-scale projects, and it apparently had not filled required annual accounts in Belgium. In Belgium. You can see. First time it was about the deal with that Indian passport company. Now it's this one. You see, this is what we call MCP, Malawi Criminal Party. Malawi Finance Minister at the time, Sosten Gwengwe, later stated that no actual funds from Bridging had been received, calling claims otherwise nonsense. That time we started calling nonsense. Civil society's analysis and media described the deal as possibly a too good to be true jackpot and a scheme that lacked standard due to diligence. There appears to be very little evidence of implementation of the projects or disbursement of funds years after the announcement. They wanted the big amount of money, and even in that amount is not the amount they do use when they want to announce a budget for Malawi. Malawi is a small country. This money, if this money was given to them, they will munch it, kill it with their own families. in their pocket, and they'll make their berries by now so big. But unfortunately, might be even this bridging organization, if you investigate proper, is for our brothers and sisters in Nigeria. Already. The deal damaged credibility. The governing MCP has faced criticism for promising large transformation but delivering a little, helping fuel perceptions of broken promises. This is what they did. This report was out since they were there. Don't think that it's new. A lot of international organizations and even those countries there, they knew, they read all this report. Only you Malawians, you couldn't have access to this, because if you had access to this, it means they will arrest you. They'll send those machete boys to keep high you. Some members of MCP have publicly resigned. They resigned. Some of the members of that time, they resigned, alleging abuse of public funds and internal corruption. Might be you remember that time. Some members resigned. They were not happy with corruption. And you know them. Me, I don't know them all. Though these are separate allegations. The scandal underlines systemic governance risk in Malawi, weak oversight, large sums promised with minimal transparency, and potential for misuse of public resources. They misuse taxpayers' money. Who are the taxpayers? It's you, Malawians. You are the taxpayers. They misuse that money. They do not care. They can travel with their families, their daughters, their son-in-laws. Through is that money coming from your tax. The little money you are getting and the tax they are deducting, that's what they are using. So there was no confirmed public audit or independent verification that the 6.8 billion was not delivered or that the projects are fully funded. The government that time was asked repeatedly for updates, but details remained sparse. Observers recommended demand for accountability, e.g. full disclosure of any contracts, evidence of fund transfer, timeline of implementation, and risk assessment of such mega deals, but nothing was provided. Nothing. No assessment, nothing. They just closed their ears and no one knows what really happened. If you just speculate, people, they don't know what happened. This is the time to start investigating. This is all about Malawi Criminal Party. They prayed you Malawians. They killed you Malawians. You lost your loved ones because of their criminality. They caused that accident and killed innocent Malawians. Those people were your families. Those people, you trusted them, but they died in the hands of Dr. Chakwera government under his MCP. Malawians, it's time for us to remind the new government those deaths needs to be investigated. Chirima death and the rest needs to be investigated. We know that they cannot come back, but at the end of the day, that is life. Their spirit needs to rest in peace, because up to now, their spirit hasn't rested in peace. We need the spirits of these people, everyone who lost life, to rest in peace. But while these people, these vampires, are still out there, even they've got energy to go and held a meeting and said, do you know what, 2030 we are back. That's why you can see that they don't even have remorse. They are not human beings, they are animals. Even an animal sometimes can have remorse. Sometimes a snake wants to bite you because that snake just feels sorry for you. But these ones are more than a snake. They are vampires. A vampire, because when it's lack of blood, it wants more blood. These are blood suckers. They don't feel sorry for anyone. They will just grab you, suck your blood, and leave you there in desperate. Leave you there fighting for death. This is what they did to you, Malawians. And because they enjoy that, they are missing that blood, the taste of that blood. That's why they feel like it's time for them to criticize, to bad mind the new government. Malawians, we are not going to tolerate that. Let's wake up, Malawians. Let's come out of that darkness. We don't want that type of government anymore. We don't want that type of false leaders anymore, false prophets anymore. No, we don't want those vampires. Because at the end of the day, one by one is going down. And the truth will prevail. Thank you very much. God bless you abundantly as you continue to subscribe, like, comment, and share. Thank you, thank you. Watch this video from the beginning until the end. Thank you very much, but it's time to open our eyes. Thank you, thank you. God bless you. Ciao, ciao. Bye.